as much as I've been a part of yours, because Nadia, I think we met probably about 5 years ago now, I think, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Coming up to our anniversary, I think.
oh yeah, I think we are, aren't we? Oh well,
Yeah.
once we're out, we'll celebrate.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring you on because Nadia, you're not only a long-standing client, dare I say now friend, but also one of our Flying Changes ambassadors. You applied this year to join the team, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the team. I was thrilled when you did actually put an application in. I thought, oh, fantastic, this is great. Great to have you on board officially as part of the team. So we're going to talk about all sorts of things today, aren't we? Because your story has just been one of those fantastic stories that I just love to share, because it's a real heartwarming one. So to start us off then, Nadia, why don't you tell us a little bit about how we met, our love story, a little bit about how we met and what was going on for you at that time.
So I've probably told this story a few times now, but we met because I bought this lovely little pony. His name's Dude. And our journey together has really all been centered around me regaining my confidence after an accident on my previous cob that I bought. So I daftly took a voyage away from Arabs for a couple of years. Didn't quite gel with the pony at all. He didn't like me. I couldn't ride him. And I ended up having a pretty bad accident. Knew he wasn't right for me, so went on and looked for the type of safe pony I was after, and I absolutely found that in Dude. But my confidence had been so shattered that I found myself one day out at a dressage competition, and it was at Snowball Farm in Slough, and I just got stuck on the mountain block, and I was stuck on it for about 45 minutes. And this couple at some point came over and asked me if they could take Dude and just walk him around, and they wouldn't take him out of my eyesight. They would stay in the manage with him, but maybe I just needed a moment to myself. That moment was 45 minutes, bless them. And I don't actually know who this couple are. And just before this, Jenny and I were just talking about the thing we'd love is to find out who they were, because when I was able to get down off that mountain block, I didn't actually get on the pony that day, but I did get down off the mountain block, and they gave me Jenny's details and said, this lady might be able to help you. And it's never been about Dude. He is as safe as you can say a pony is. I bought him from an extremely well-known showing production house. They knew exactly what I was looking for. They'd seen me compete over the years with my previous Arabs, and they knew what I was after, and they found me the perfect match of a pony. He's almost a little therapy pony. He does not react when my anxiety takes hold. He will just walk around until I'm feeling able to do stuff again. But that particular day, I couldn't do anything. So yeah, our journey really started when this nice couple, and I remember saying to Jenny at the time, I really just couldn't even articulate anything that day. So I never got their name. I don't think I ever got to thank them. I was obviously very thankful to them, but when you're in that kind of frame of mind, that's really hard to, do anything. So off I went home, but then I did come back to that, those details those people had given me, and I got in touch with you. And I remember when we did our first session, you were saying to me, what would you like out of this? And I was like, Jenny, I want to go to Horse of the Year show. And there I was, and I couldn't even get on my pony. And actually, if you're into showing, I guess that's every young girl's dream, is to go to Horse of the Year show. So I had this massive goal, this big dream, and I was, not even able to get on. So I think Jenny had her work cut out with me. And I think, like you said to me before, it's it was just a mindset thing. I got so overwhelmed. I wanted to do this, that, and the other. I didn't really have a plan of how to get there. I couldn't break it down into, well, what could I do today that will help me on that journey? I just made it so big, and I'd ground myself to a halt. So first, as one of your first clients. You've definitely had your work cut out with me, I would say.
Oh, it's been wonderful to share it. Yeah, when I first met you, I did think, right, okay, all right, no, that's fine. I think I can see what's going on here. Because interestingly enough, your family are quite high flyers in the sporting world, aren't they? So there was some interesting
They
bits and
are.
pieces going on.
They are. So my brothers, between them, hold some, junior, senior world championships, Olympic gold and Olympic silver in rowing. So last represented our country at London 2012. So you grow up, so say you come home from a horse show or whatever, and you'd be like, yes, I stayed on, I came, whatever, I've got this £2 bit of ribbon. They'd be like, oh, first of the losers. And you'd be like, huh? But in their mindset, in their world, they were coached by people like yourself. No one was going to beat them. No one was going to do, nothing beyond that medal was anything. So we lived in different worlds. So I grew up around that. And, for me, I had a very different mindset to them. I was just like, this is the most fun thing I do. I work hard. I run my own business, and I was doing well professionally, but this was my hobby, this thing I really love to do. But yeah, so it's interesting, they've always had mindset coaching, and I guess that is what made them as good as they are in their own discipline. So yeah, for me, just getting some of that same help, even applying it to the fact that this is still my hobby. I am still an amateur. I do have a full-time job. I wouldn't say I'm your average happy hacker, because sometimes that's just terrifying. I am, but I am just an average horsey girl. I'm not one of your team that is, at the top level of their riding, but I really like doing it. I do get quite competitive sometimes, and maybe at some point during this chat, I'll tell you about the day maybe Jenny had made me slightly too confident, and I told the judge that I thought I should have won a class. And that is, that's not me at all, and that's quite rude. So there's a tipping point between confidence and arrogance, which I learned on this journey as well. But yeah, mainly I learned that, talking about it, getting help for it, and also not worrying about those days when my confidence still can get rocked. It ebbs and flows. It's not this straight line to success. It's something, and we've talked about this at length before, it's something you and I have to work on together. And sometimes we've had, I remember we've done a lot of work on perspectives, because even though sometimes we at one point got my confidence up and I was back riding, I was getting on, that was no longer an issue. And then I got really worried about people seeing me and what they would think and their perspective of me. And then I actually got to the point I was really worried about seeing the team that I bought Dude from, because you'll see their names in the press and you see them in Horse and Hound in the centre folds of the showing bit, and you see them win Horse of the Year show, and I was like, they are going to want to take him back. They are going to want to take their pony home. And actually it couldn't be further from the truth. And so just some of those exercises, and you've spoken about them on some of your lives this week, having that kind of just feeling like it's okay. They actually just are so pleased he has an amazing home and he looks well, and I get to do the stuff that I love doing no matter where I come, with a smile on my face, because they've matched me with the absolute perfect pony. And that gives them more pleasure. But yeah, even things like that at certain points have stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah, it's that comparison, isn't it? We talk about comparison's the thief of joy, and it's funny, isn't it, that even though, and I will ask you to tell us about that story where you got a bit cocky, because I think it's hilarious. The day you told me that, I was absolutely killing myself. I thought it was brilliant. But it is, isn't it? It's not a case of, oh, I've got confidence, off we go with it. In fact, I know Sue's watching, and Sue's got this wonderful phrase that she uses, which is confidence doesn't come in cans. You can't just drink it back and there it is. Yeah, it's a brilliant one.
I love that, Sue.
Yeah, I'm sure Sue won't mind you having that one, Nadia. But Yeah, so and it's not a case of here you go, there's confidence, off you go with it now, is it? It comes, it ebbs and flows. It's what I say, it's a moment in time, isn't it? And I think your journey's been absolutely full of the highs and the lows and the learning about yourself along the way, when you realize that actually you might have it now, and then there's another thing you start worrying about that you didn't even think you would, because you certainly weren't expecting that, and then that pops up, just like you know, like you said, you were doing well, and then suddenly you get worried about what the people are going to think that are watching you. It's crazy, isn't it? You know, how this actually happens the way it does.
Yeah, and you know, I remember a point at which, you know, you got me back riding. That wasn't the concern anymore. I started to go out and do pole work clinics with one of the ladies you recommended, and then I started to get worried about the people around me. And I was like, so then we went through the whole getting over controlling the uncontrollables, and actually just not worrying about what's happening around you. Whereas I almost wanted the world to stand still so that I could have my go, which, you know, that doesn't happen in your average pole work clinic. It certainly doesn't happen in your average warm-up arena at a show. Definitely not at showing. It's definitely not at dressage. That can be, you know, that can be quite an anxious warm-up environment. And yeah, just all those different things, as you improve on one bit, doesn't necessarily mean that suddenly all your problems are fixed. And you know, we've had to find a way through this whole process to just help me chip away at it slowly. You know, it's ever evolving is what I'd say, but I've always been able to tell you when it's not working, to say, could we try a different technique? Or, you know, randomly, I thought at one point I really had it. And then I started to get really, I had a real aversion to noise at one point. And I don't think I ever really figured out what set me off. And then, you know, so yeah, bless you, you've had your work cut out, because then you had to try and move me on from that. So I was now walking, trotting, cantering around. I was out at pole work clinics. I was probably having a little go at some walk and trot dressage, I think, by this point. And then I got really, you know, noise would set me off. But again, thankfully, I have a dude of a pony who he really does not react. If I drop the reins, he will just stand there. So, you know, one of the other things I've always done, and I think some of the girls are watching, is I go to camp once a year. And the very first year we took Dude, I don't think I came out of walk in any of the lessons. And I think pretty much they would each take it in turns to get me on, walk around with me, just make me enjoy being part of the lesson and still able to go away to my camp with them. And you know, I remember one of the instructors managed to get me indoors into the arena at Kiso and got them all to sit in the gallery. And I remember just sat there in floods of tears, and Dude was just literally stood there with his, and there's a photo somewhere, I'll put it on my page later. He's got his head over the gallery, and one of them was saying, you know, but your pony's fine. What's wrong with you? And not in a bad way, but they were just kind of genuinely trying to understand, how could you be sat there with a pony that doesn't mind and you're getting really upset? And so it is, sometimes it's really hard to explain anxiety to people. It's hard for them to understand because it's a feeling and it can be so real. That moment it came out and I ended up stood on a mountain block and frozen for 45 minutes. At the time, it can actually become really physical. And you know, what we've learned to do over time is help me prepare before I go into those situations. So I think by the year I went back to camp, the next year round, I was, you know, they were still helping me get on, probably still walking me around, but then I was merrily trotting away. And I remember one of the girls sent me a little video at the end of a day, and they'd caught me having a canter around across the big arena at Kiso, but no one had said, you know, because they once said, you know, they could tell I'd obviously built up to it. And then last year I was doing the whole lot, did my pole work things, did, you know, when I say grids, they had proper grids, and then they built me the world's, I think the middle cross pole was raised. But the cheers from the girls, and we do have one chap that comes with us, so from just the guys that I go with, you know, is incredible. And that's about having the right team around you, and just that support network that are actually, they've got your back, they're rooting for you. You know, they're the right people. And I have that when I go showing as well. So my transport is done by a lovely lady called Mel, who buys Dude all the most amazing bits and pieces for our showing. So she gets him lovely brow bands and lovely rugs, and we're an ambassador for her transport business. And she is an absolute ringside support. I mean, bless her, I don't let her, once I'm on, she has to have already gone to the loo before I get on, the whole lot. You can't leave me. Once I've mounted up at a show, you're kind of glued to me. And that that includes being within my eyesight when I'm in the ring, so that I feel like you've got me. So, you know, it's really important for people to feel like they've got someone or a group of people. And I definitely have that with my fellow campers, my, you know, yourself. I know you're, you know, I've called you before when I did take out my oldest one. I took him out for his final year of showing a couple of years back, when I was really getting my confidence back. And he amazingly got me all the way through to, I think, the top 8 at the British Arab Championships. And then I rang you to say, we did not plan for this bit. What are we going to do? I've just had to borrow a top hat. I'm not sure I'm going to make it round. Where are you? We're going to need to have a chat. Otherwise, I'm not going in. Because you and I planned for every other bit, and I was getting very used to planning and getting that mindset right, that then I was like, we didn't talk about this, Jenny. What shall I do? But, you know, you were there on the end of the phone. You know, Mel was with me at that point, probably thinking, what is wrong with this girl? You know, she's got it, she's got in there, she's done it, and now she's having a wobble. But, you know, that just shows that, you know, we're human. I don't do this every day. Like I say, I do a normal non-horsey job. This is meant to be my fun bit. So, you know, having the right people around you that cheer you on when you're doing it, and who know the hard work that goes into, just for me, even putting my foot in the stirrup. And none of it. So lots of people say, why are you doing it if you're getting so worried? And I'm not worried. So I'm not worried about getting on Dude. I adore my pony. He's the sweetest thing. That doesn't mean that your confidence can't just kind of waver at certain moments. So yeah, having the people around you that understand that is really important. And I'd say the same for instructors. I'm very lucky that a very good friend of mine teaches me. And when we go in the arena, she is not your friend anymore. She works you very hard. We've got an amazing picture of where Dude looks like even his eyeballs are sweating at the end of one of her lessons. But she understands about teaching someone that can have anxiety and can have confidence issues, and about helping build me up. And there's always that level, isn't there, where some instructors want to really push you, and that's absolutely fine. And it's always good to have someone that will kind of spur you on and drive you forward and show you what you're capable of. But there will be instructors, and there's some people that, you know, and I do use a few different people over time, but I've got a couple of them that say only come to me when you're feeling really confident. And, you know, so it's good to find the right mix of people, and people that understand you, and there might be different people for different times, and that's okay. But I typically find that it's best to be honest with them when you're thinking about having a lesson, because otherwise it's really hard for them to plan as well, and for them to understand what will help you in that moment. And I think I put a video on just before, I think one of my first rides back from Dude being injured. So he's been in rehab since November. And I did a pole work clinic, and I think I put it on my page as one of the first things when we were doing the ambassador scheme this year. And Eloise so the lady that runs the pole work clinics, Eloise, is amazing. And she just started kind of laughing and saying, finally, and I knew it was in the, you know, with all the right love in her heart, was saying, finally, that pony is actually moving, and you're letting him go somewhere, and you are the only not anxious member of this group for once. And I was like, hallelujah. And everyone stopped and had a little cheer. And, you know, that for me, so just feeling like you can enjoy those everyday things. You don't have to be, and I certainly am not aiming to be an Olympic rider, or, you know, but if I can get back to some of the stuff I used to do and feel confident doing it, and have fun. And I think that was one of the things I put down as one of our goals for this year, was just to have more fun. You know, we all work hard. This is what I do in the evenings or at the weekends, and it's why we've all mucked out all winter and everything's been flooded and we've kept on going. So having a bit of fun, doing it with a smile on your face, and yeah, feeling like your team's got your back for those moments when it's a bit wobbly, and, you know, that's why.
So talking about having a bit of fun then, Nadia, I do think we need to hear about the story where you perhaps got a little bit too confident, and we found the edge of confident into cocky a little bit, because I love this story. I think this is so funny. So tell us what was going on for you at the time, and what happened that day, because it had me in stitches.
Well, I'd read all the rules for this. It was a new showing class that was introduced for the Arabs. I'd read all the rules for it. It wasn't a standard showing class. It had a specific list of kit you had to wear, that you were marked on off a checklist, had a specific list of stuff your horse had to be wearing. You had to just do the moves when shouted out by the steward. You all did it one at a time. You know, this wasn't, you walked around together almost like parading. Then you went out and you came back in, you did it. And I was feeling uber confident. In fact, yeah. And I remember actually there was a burger van, and I was managing to ride Dude so close to it that when they were flipping the burgers, he was sparking up, and I was thinking, yes, we got this, which is the phrase you taught me. So part of me blames you a little. You know, so we were I was doing exactly what the person was shouting, even though I didn't understand some of the stuff. And I was thinking, this must be looking good. And I was, you know, finished my stuff, and then I don't know, you stand in the middle and they were marking you all. And then I came absolutely last. And believe you me, I was not impressed. And I'm like, yes, I've stayed on. I've got a smile on my face. I've got an amazing picture. My team's cheering no matter where I come. This is all amazing. And this day, when she was giving me rosette, I was just like, I'd looked down the line, which is the rudest thing ever. And I was like, how have I not won? And the words just should never have come out of my mouth. And they never have since, and they never will again. But yeah, at the time, I just thought, I've done everything. I'm feeling really good today. I've done everything you asked for. I just did that. I even went by a burger van. I was thinking, where is the recognition for this? And yeah, what I learned most definitely was to be a little bit more humble, and you know, don't do that again.
And what was the reason in the end, Nadia, that you were last?
I can't remember.
Was it you weren't wearing something, or you weren't doing something?
Oh God, so even though I'd read all this stuff, and you're right, and I was really like, look at me, but I was completely in the wrong kit. So it was me being super cocky, showing off my pony's moves, and yeah, wearing completely the wrong stuff. So I I trotted back very apologetically, and yeah, I haven't gone back yet, but
brilliant, love it.
I won't do it again.
Yeah, and there's always lessons to be learned from any experience, Absolutely. Isn't there?
Yeah, most definitely.
Cool. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your best highs then with Dude, since because you have now been showing him for a few years, and he is Dude. What are some of the things? As I rode past a fun fair is a phrase that we use a lot for you, isn't it?
Yeah, so I would say last season was probably our best one, because obviously I was, we're that further along on our journey, and I was probably feeling the most confident. So last year was the first season I warmed him up myself. Before that, Mel, who does my transport, also turned out to be a supremo showing rider. But when she first met me, didn't share those stories because thought it would make me more anxious. So would just take me to places and then just offer to help. And then one day I went to a clinic and one of them said, "Why are you coming here for lessons when Mel could help you?" And then finally she had to spill the beans. So leading into last year, she would warm him up for everything and just stick me on when I was feeling ready. But last year, for the first time, I did the lot. I got him ready, I warmed him up. She was there to just be that support, but I did all the work myself, which was, really fulfilling, just to feel like you could do that. She still had to wrestle the neck strap off me. I would warm up with it and try and go in with it. But we finally got to an understanding that, we had this, we could take it off. She'd always let me warm up in it, but it was coming off as I walked in. So last season, we started off with places that would really build your confidence. So, we would get to one of those riding club shows and ask if we could pay and go in all the children's classes and start where you'll get the encouragement. And obviously you don't get placed, you just pay, you ask the judge if it's okay for experience. And they were amazing. And then the judge, one of those, the judge said to me, "Come into we've got a class later on that's for novice riders and horses, come in." And we won the class because we'd taken all their feedback on board. Actually, doing the morning with these children's classes was brilliant. And I just built my confidence up. And then I guess I got a little bit more competitive and a little bit of my confidence started to return. And so just, doing those baby steps really helped. So we did a few riding club shows last year. And we started our journey at the foreign breed shows, which hopefully I'll meet one of our other ambassadors at when we're finally allowed out, who was on the other day, Emma, because it's an amazing series. And at their shows, they also do some of these get your experience up classes. So last year we started doing some walk and trot classes with them. And then they do one where you progress, where you canter individually. And then, so we kind of moved through there. And I think I came to one of your camps last year. And then the next day won my class at the Foreign Breed Show and then went ring champion. And again, just having those people around me that can cheer you on and just encourage you. And, again, even there, they couldn't leave me when I warmed up. So there's still those moments and there's still those elements of support I need, but I'm warming up myself. I still pretty much get led almost to the ring, but that's, hopefully that will go at some point. But I've just learned, don't beat yourself up, just keep working at it. And even if it takes time, it doesn't matter. We've got a lot of it, use it. But then, so we ended the season at Henley, which was our first county show. We thought we'd try and get back, and why not have it's the last one, because my confidence would have grown. And when I got there and saw it, I was like, why are we here? But we had a plan. We got there 2 or 3 hours before my class, had a good look round to almost just immerse myself in what that was like, kind of walk off my own anxiety, my own worry about, and the people of Henley do it really well. So there were dining tables around the ringside. Not had that before at any of the county shows. Obviously, there's fun fairs and there's things, but we had ringside dining tables. But I just, used a lot of the stuff we put into practice. I got there early. I had a plan for the day. I knew, and the pony does not need warming up, but I do. So he will merrily walk around for an hour on a long rein until I feel better. He doesn't need to be worked to death. I just need to get on. And then we went in, and I think the moment I went past that fun fair for the very first time, then that's all I was thinking to myself. I rode past a fun fair, and from that point on, I was like, we've got this, just ride. And I enjoyed every minute of it because it felt like the culmination of everything we'd worked for in terms of that confidence about being back out there, and I wasn't fussed about people watching. I wanted people to watch, you know, which, roll it back at the beginning and I was still hiding away, and you know, you get that kind of, oh God, everyone will just laugh. But actually by that point I was like, look at me, I'm riding past a fun fair. And then we did win the class, but that is just back of the mind. All I wanted to tell you was I rode past a fun fair. You know, and actually they started doing their tablecloths and laying their dining room tables as I was trotting by, and I almost wanted to just give them a thumbs up, as if to say, I've stayed on, you're laying a dining room table, you know. It's an amazing feeling, and I know there was probably lots of people that just think, oh, you know, that's normal. They don't know the journey you've taken on to get there. And you know, someone approached us afterwards and was saying, oh, your pony must have been on the circuit for years, or you look like you, and that was so lovely to hear. But I was just thinking, I rode past a fun fair, you know. I was so just pleased that this journey had taken me to that point where I could have that smile on my face, which is why we bought him. You know, and I also did a sponsored ride last year, which was one of the photos I absolutely love, because I had an absolute meltdown at the beginning because I'd never been on one. I never really understood that 30 of you got the same setting off time. Who does sponsored rides? I mean, you're braver than me. And I got to the start, and if I could have undone that air jacket, but because I was having a panic attack, I couldn't get it off. Therefore, I was stuck on the horse. And thankfully, a friend was with me, and her pony's just an absolute saint. And first of all, she had no idea that I had anxiety because she had never seen it manifest. And she was having to watch me have a full panic attack whilst thinking her horse isn't batting an eyelid. But she managed to just go into, actually, let's just give her some instructions. Let's see if I can give her some things to focus on. And she kept saying to me, in 30 minutes, you're going to be having the best ride of your life. And I just followed her instruction, but she made it so basic, very much like we do, from the point of even just, let's give him a pat. Let's try trotting just to that tree. Let's then give him another pat. Let's try. And then she broke it down into such small things for me to do, a bit like getting stuck on that mountain block because I wanted to do, you know, something so big. She made it so small. And we got the most incredible picture of me cantering across the Wellington estate, I think it was. And I was having the time of my life. Yet, roll it back to the beginning of that morning, it was terrifying for that moment, for those kind of 10, 15 minutes. And I couldn't even articulate to her what was up. So she was just watching someone trying to scrabble about and get an air jacket off. I'm lucky I didn't just blow myself up on a pony that was just stood there going, don't worry, I got this, Mum. Any minute now, you're going to let me have a nice canter around the estate.
It's amazing, isn't it, how you get those incredible highs that very often start with those unbelievable fear-based panic, fear, anxiety, you know, because your brain in that moment is literally just trying to keep you alive. It does genuinely think there's a threat to life, even though all the logic in the world is telling you there's no threat, you're fine, your pony is fine, you're perfectly okay, and all of that. But for whatever reason, it triggered off that response. But when you overcome that, when you actually push through that, when you have whatever it is you need around you to make sure that you do the thing you want to do instead of retreating, because every part of your body was trying to get the hell out of there. You were in flight like you wouldn't believe. Luckily you were clicked on, like you say. That's when the unbelievable highs come through, the adrenaline rush like you wouldn't believe is just makes it 20 times more worth it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I was so happy ending up, you know, doing something I didn't think I would have done. I did get near the end, see the finish line, and I was like, thank the Lord, I'm in one piece. And I don't know if I could genuinely tell you if I'd do it again, but I probably would. I could probably plan for it, and I'm sure we could make it work. But yeah, it was amazing, and they're some of my most favorite moments of last year. I think just those moments where you realize just how far you've come. And there's, you know, what I'm actually excited for is what's to come next. You know, if we manage to do that, going from the point of not being able to get on, and you know, what's that going to be like in another year, in another 2 years? So
That's
yeah,
so exciting, isn't it?
yeah, it
And
is
this
exciting.
is where comparison is a wonderful thing. So we say comparison is the thief of joy, because when you're comparing yourself to others,
Yeah.
you're zapping the joy. When you're inspired by others, that's a different thing. But when actually your comparison is look at where we were to look at where we are now, and that incredible journey. I mean, if I had said to you 5 years ago that you would have achieved any of the things that you've achieved in the last year, you'd have said, you know, I don't think I'd have believed it, quite frankly.
No.
And just the thought of them actually would have been quite scary at that point as well. So this is an interesting thing when it comes to goals. I'm not going to get into it now, but you know, you've got to be really careful when you're setting goals. It's not just a case of setting something and putting it out there, is it? You know, there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, and you need to break it down and make it, what could I do today that will help me on that journey? What one little thing could I change or improve, and not worry about having such a, you know, a big goal that it terrifies you. It's great that you want to stretch, and you know, a bit like in our careers or whatever, you know, you always want to improve and, you know, do a bit better, but don't overwhelm yourself. And like you say, there's no comparison to anyone else. No one else is on your journey. No one else is you. So yeah, looking back at
thank goodness sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, looking back at where you've come from is amazing sometimes, just to remind myself, yeah, what we can do just with a bit of hard work, and also asking for help.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many people happy to offer advice and help and support. You've just got to find the right ones that work for you, but asking for it. And I know lots of people struggle with that. You know, it's good to do, you know, especially at the moment as well. You know, lots of us are feeling a certain way probably about things that are going on in the world around us, you know, so feeling like you can reach out and talk to someone.
Which brings us beautifully on to your work with an amazing charity called Shout. So tell us a little bit more about that, Nadia. It's incredible what you guys are doing, really.
Yeah, so I guess one of the biggest things that has come out of our work together has been a real desire, I think, to give back. And how can I help other people who might be like me and sometimes have anxiety and, you know, maybe other mental health issues. And I kind of started talking to you about, you know, just that overwhelming desire to look at that. And I think in your early career, all of us are taught, you know, you come out of school and it's, where can I go? What can I do? What can I achieve? How can I earn this much? How can I do that? And as you get to my age, you start actually thinking a little bit differently. And also, I definitely think it resonates from some of the work we've done, and, you know, just getting that help from you has made me think about how can I help other people. And so I started, you know, as we were talking about, I started looking at what charities maybe I could get involved with and, you know, train with. And I came across Shout, who are the UK's first 24/7 text-based service. So for perhaps people that aren't ready to yet verbalise how they're feeling or what they're experiencing, but could maybe reach out via text. So I looked into that. That it was obviously signposted a lot from all the mental health charity stuff that the princes are campaigning for and talking about. So it was getting lots of press. So I put in an application probably about this time last year, and yourself and one of my other friends was a referee for me, and I got accepted onto their training program probably last August, September time, I think. And the training is, it's tough, but it's really rewarding, and they give you a lot of support. And I found out on New Year's Eve that I'd passed, which was brilliant. And then so I've been doing my shifts since January, really. And it's an incredible service. It's now being signposted. So the Samaritans have turned off their text service and it all comes to Shout. And today we've all just been briefed that we will be part of the NHS wellbeing support moving forward. So we are being trained a bit later on in terms of just what they may be experiencing out on the front lines due to COVID-19, and being asked to do some maybe really late evening or early hours shifts to be there to listen and support them. So it's an incredible charity. We're 24/7. So whether you're needing to talk to someone or you're interested in volunteering, I guess we can post some signposts to Shout after this. I'll put them on my page and we can put them on yours as well. But yeah, it's really fulfilled a need in me to just start giving back, I guess, and so it's to something that I feel quite passionately about, and I'm quite open and honest about talking about it. I know lots of people aren't, so I think that helps as well. I think it helps as well to have that empathy because I've experienced it, and obviously I don't just experience it in my horsey life, I experience it in life, but I guess the stuff we do together has really helped. So the mindset and mental health goes really well together. And yesterday, actually, I signposted to the guys at Shout that we were going to be doing this. And they were really interested in, mindset psychology and how that type of thing can help. So we're going to share this with them later on as well. So a bit of mutual signposting, because it's great for people to know the different resources that are out there. Because that's the other thing, I guess, people, it might not just be horsey things you want to come and chat to someone about mindset. For me, it's really helped and given me some tools if I'm feeling anxious, because anxious is a feeling. It's not, whilst it can become physical, as we've said, and that's when it gets really overwhelming, that it actually becomes physical. But it is a feeling, it's not me. And I guess I had a few, when we were thinking about what I should name my page, and I was chatting to one of your other ambassadors about this, Katie at Riviera, I was kind of saying, I don't want to call it something that makes it sound like it's me, but I wanted to signpost the mental health aspect, because that's something that speaks to me as a person, and just, I think lots of people can relate. Just a normal person, normal horsey girl, loves her pony, works hard to pay for it, just wants to enjoy it. So I just wanted to kind of signpost the mental health aspect as well, though, and that, probably a lot of us feel this way sometimes, not all the time. And it is, I think we all have most of the time great days, but it's okay to have the ones that aren't, and it's great to know you've got people you can talk to. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to the other amazing volunteers that join me during our shifts every week. It's an incredible group. It's a very supportive group. So if you're interested in volunteering, we'll share some of the information, and likewise, if you need to reach out to us, I'll share some of that as well.
That's amazing, thank you. And so just out of interest, while you've got this chance to tell people, anyone who's interested in volunteering for Shout, just tell us a tiny bit about the kind of thing that it involves, so that maybe they can go and think about whether they want to be. I know I'm definitely thinking about, doing it, because I think it would be an amazing thing to give back and to be part of something as fantastic as that. So, but tell people about what it entails for you.
So our training was probably 12 weeks of training, probably about 4 hours a week. And you have coaches with you the whole way to really hold your hand and talk you through things, but it's online. Shout is the UK arm of the Crisis Text Service. So in the States, this has been going a long while. The bit we love is that all the information they gather and they teach you this through the training, is all then anonymized and used to help lots of other mental health charities understand more about many of the different mental health challenges people face. And then they bring that into their training. So they really help you start to understand and empathize with the different things people might be feeling. But I would say the biggest thing they teach you is listening. Who thought they listened? And I realized you really don't until you're taught to actively listen to somebody, and we're taught to hear what they're not saying as well. But also just to know that on there with you the whole time you have, so when you're live, we're on a laptop, they are on text, everything is monitored. You have someone right there who is qualified in one of the highest levels of, whether they're psychiatrists, whatever is that kind of realm of speciality for them, that you can call on at any point and they will join. They can read everything, they can join, you can ask for that guidance. So you're never left alone, and there is training available to you ongoing with them. So they're always updating their training. You don't just do 12 weeks and then there you go, you're an amazing volunteer. But the other bit of it is the volunteers themselves. So we've got our own little area of the platform, and people can just share their experiences, and you come up with some amazing ways of responding to people, and you get your own personality and your own style, but a lot of it is based on the other people giving you some feedback as well. So they work with a real nice positive way of feeding back to you, and you have to be open to positive feedback, because you need to know where you can improve, and how maybe if you'd have read what they were saying a little bit differently or listened a little bit better, and it's incredible through the training process that they really pull that out of you and help you get there. And they want the volunteers, so they are there to support you, and that carries on through. So yeah, really worthwhile.
Amazing. And so how often do you do things? And you sit with your laptop, don't you? And do you get to choose when you do things, or how does that bit work?
Yeah, you can schedule your shifts around your life, really. They cap it at 16 hours a week. So they've obviously worked out that is enough for you. They're very, they check in with you at the end of every shift. You can have counselling if you need it at the end of every shift. But yeah, I probably do 4 hours a week. And then at the moment, once you've gone through the different levels, so if they're ever super busy, you could be kind of text as a spike team to say, is there any chance you could even come on for an hour, because calls are peaking. So I think we might get that after they launch this to the NHS later today or tomorrow. So, we're all kind of there ready to jump on, even if it's for the odd extra hours to help out. So yeah, if it sounds good, happy to chat to anyone as well about my experience with them.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And it's something that, I didn't know it existed until you said to me, can you refer me? And I was like, to what? Because it's not, it's not a service I've ever needed to look for, but to know that it's out there is just incredible. It really is. And to be able to give something back that's the lovely part about this, isn't it? It's so many people doing so many different things in different ways right now.
Yeah.
Like my saddler is she's a saddler, but she's also a pattern cutter, and she used to make all sorts of things, all sorts of costumes and stuff like that as well. And she's currently pattern cutting scrubs for the NHS because they need so many of them. And it's just incredible to see how people are using whatever skill it is that they've got at the moment to help in whatever way they can, because we need so many different things, don't we, right now, that however you can help someone, whatever it is you can do. And this is another way that maybe some people out there are thinking, well, I don't do what Jenny does, but you don't need to at all, do you? You get trained, you get told. And in fact, in some ways, probably knowing what I know would be more of a curse than a blessing, because you're a blank slate, you get to do as you're told.
Yeah, probably.
We shall see if I'm trainable or not. But yeah, so anything else then about Shout? I think we'll put all the details in. We'll make sure that it's available to anyone who's interested in it. But if you just Google, is it what, Give Us a Shout? Is it? That's what they're...
Yeah, Instagram is Give Us a Shout. Facebook is just Shout. If you pop that in, it should come up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool.
we'll share all the details after this on our pages.
Perfect. And so finally then, Nadia, what's next for you? What's the next chapter all about? Where are you going to go on the next part of your amazing journey?
I think, well, with Shout, I think probably it's led me to think about this as a career. So maybe a career change at some point in the future. And actually using this time at the moment as we're all at home, to start having a look at training and what I can do and how I can move that along. So I think, from a professional capacity, I think I might be another person you've coached into a whole new career. And then from a horsey perspective, well, hopefully, Dude's resting at the moment. This has probably, for me, been quite a good time because, I know lots of people are obviously missing doing stuff. And for me, actually, it took the pressure off trying to rush rehab. So, continuing our rehab journey, and hopefully we'll be even more prepared for next year, I think, is what comes next for us.
And just for those who don't know, Dude had an accident and he escaped from the field and had a horrible accident, and that's why he's on rehab right now. It's just one of those freak things, wasn't it?
Yeah, rug slipped, went through the neighbour's fence, bumped into a parked car, out the gate, slipped over on the tarmac outside, but thankfully only suffered bruising. The fence fell apart, the car barely touched him, and when he fell out the gate, he landed in a pile of soft mud. So you can't write those things. But yeah, he's improving loads. He's back. We were back riding, and then he had a bit of a setback. So I think where he had started to feel better, and he'd started to want to do a bit more, actually now I think he's probably enjoying just a bit of chill out time in the field and get his strength back.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nadia, for that. The comments that have been coming through, I'll read you some of them now because obviously you can't see them. Was Sue says, "Ooh, look who's on the telly." Thanks for that, Sue. Sue. Ali says she loves your new haircut. Krista says we're a lovely couple. Emma just says she absolutely loves your story. Alyssa says she's looking forward to watching your continuing journey. Krista says, wow, that's an incredibly inspirational story, and I can't wait to come and cheer you on at Hoy's. We'll all be there. And thank you so much for sharing about mental health and anxiety there from Emma as well, because it's really important to be talking about it at the moment and knowing that help is out there. So Nadia, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for revealing some of the secrets of our secret relationship as well. Yeah. I'm looking forward to another 5 years together with you.
Yeah, indeed.
What would our 5-year anniversary be if we'd been married? I don't know what that would have been. I have no idea. Do you know what 5 years is? I don't know what 5. No, I'll have to look that one up. But it's obviously coming up. So I'm hoping it's flowers of some sort. You can send me some.
Or I'll buy you a drink when.
Oh, all right. That sounds fine.
Do that. Yeah.
Something fizzy.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a massive party when we're all allowed back out again, isn't there? Cool. So we'll make sure that we get involved in that. But thank you so much. I know that a lot of people will love listening to this and hearing the story of, someone who is a serious amateur, like someone who loves it but wants to do well, that has to balance and it's not just a job. You do actually run a company, basically, don't you? Like, it's not you don't just go and make the tea, although you started off making the tea.
I did
enough, and work your way up to manager, director level, I think, isn't it, that you're so thank you so much. Really inspirational. Apparently we have to be drinking gin. Loads of people are saying you're an inspiration to us all, and you were great today. So thank you so much, Nadia. There's so much love and support out there for you guys, and for Dude, which he is, isn't he? There's no other way of saying it. They named him for the right reasons, didn't they? Gorgeous boy. And the lovely old Eric, bless him, who is currently a mud monster. Is that right? Or have you managed?
Yeah, I reckon I'm winning those online mud photo competitions, hands down.
He's found a new lease of life as a hippo, hasn't he? Bless him.
He really has.
Bless. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Nadia, for everything. And obviously, we will make sure there's a link up to anyone that wants to ask you questions or find out any more about anything. But hopefully, you're all going to follow Nadia, whose page is actually called Tales of an Anxious Amateur, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So we'll be following your journey with lots of pride and support and love. Anyway, thank you,
very
Nadia.
much.
Take care, and we'll see you soon.